Hello and welcome to our video presentation of our 1996 Ferrari 355 Spider. So a bit of background on 355s. As a business, over the past 20 years, we've sold a lot of 355s. We've put them in for restoration. As the business owner, I've owned two personally. And it is a car that we understand very, very well here. So what I'm going to do on this video is talk about the condition of this car and a bit of background on what this car's had and what the benefits of this car are over many others. So first of all, 1996, these cars came with what's called a 2.7 Matronic ignition system. Now this is relevant because these particular engines gave a better power output over the later cars that were sort of tweaked more towards complying with emissions. So any purist should really take this car seriously based on that. It's a 2.7 Matronic, and that engine is quite rare on a 355. Spiders in particular, most of them were the 5.2 Matronic system, which again had heavier emissions control fitted and less power. You get a crisper sound on a 2.7. Just to confirm, this isn't the engine CC, it's the ignition system, and it bears a lot of relevance to this engine. So this is the engine to have in a 355. Obviously at this age it's got the gearbox to have on a 355. That stunning manual transmission with open gate 6-speed shift. This car's finished in Rosso Corsa. The paintwork is absolutely stunning. There's really nothing of much significance to point out in terms of defects on this car. It's been beautifully prepared, and we can't take the credit for all of this because it was previously supplied by probably the best 355 specialist in the UK. On that note, in September 2023, approximately, let me just check the current mileage, 28, so approximately 3,000 miles ago, this car had a near on £20,000 spend with that specialist, having all the common faults and issues sorted on this car. So that included an engine out cam belt service, so that's done and out the way for some time now. It also had new radiators, it had suspension work. Basically, this car was pulled apart and preventative maintenance carried out to bring this car up to its current standard. And we think it makes it an absolute standout car in the current market. So by all means, get in touch with us to discuss that invoice, what was done. But rest assured, this car drives very, very well. It's very crisp. Again, that free-flowing engine just feels tremendous compared to many. And it also benefits from probably the best sounding exhaust you can buy for a 355. It's got a Capristo system on it there. That was fitted new at the time, as well as the Challenge grille, which not only looks great, helps disperse heat out the engine bay. So really well sorted car, this one. Now, any purists out there may have spotted this steering wheel and maybe even questioned that. However, that's a proper Momo suede wheel, brand new. It's got a Hills Engineering Boss, and the reason we like this modification is it actually gives any driver a significant more amount of room around the legs and the knees when driving this car, because the standard fitment airbag wheel was quite large, obviously originally designed for your typical Italian driver with long arms, short legs, let's say 5'5" tall. It doesn't ruin the experience, but it does make it hard work in a manual car, and particularly when you're using that clutch. So we think that's quite a beneficial modification. But the good news is we do have the steering wheel that was originally fitted from the factory included with this car. So that's a pretty much, I think, fairly relevant summary of this vehicle and the plus points. I'm now just going to show some close-ups of vulnerable areas that we often check on 355. So front arches sometimes can suffer with corrosion. They're all immaculate. It's got very clean wheels, calipers, suspension, wheel bolts, good Michelin tyres. There's nothing to really knock this car back on in any of these areas at all. It's very, very clean. Just going down that swage line there. Sometimes they collect road grime and in time corrode, but they're very clean. There's no rear buttresses to worry about on a Spider. If you was to buy a Berlinetta or GTS, they have a more prominent line here and they tend to crack over time and corrode, but Spiders do not suffer with that, so that's a major plus point of a Spider. Obviously we've got the roof down for the purpose of this video, but when that's up, that is in good condition. It does have a few little sort of areas of wear, but totally as one would expect at this age, and nothing that would need remedying or resolving. So absolutely fine. The hood works well, no issues. In fact, it's nice to see an original Grey Paul dealer sticker there in the back. Just sort of adds to the provenance of the car, I believe. So looking down the near side again, equally as clean, no horror stories to report. Looks tremendous, this car. They really are a timeless shape, the 355, and I think probably undervalued in the current market, which could be good for an investment. But they really give that perfect blend of classic Ferrari looks and feel, even the smell of the car when you're driving it, and the engine and the exhaust, without being really hard work to maintain. Obviously that belt service is the big one. They're every 3 years in the UK, or 50,000 kilometres, and that is well and truly out of the way. There is an argument, if you dry stored the car properly, you could prolong that period as well. So this particular car is a good proposition for anyone looking at a 355. And if we look at all the factors, the fact that it's 2.7 Medtronic, it's only 6 owners as well, this car, which is unusually low for a 355. Sometimes we see that on modern Ferraris after 2 or 3 years. So that's another tick on the list of credentials. The service history is brilliant. Again, we can go through that with any proper buyer. But all that mechanical work as well, it just puts this car in a different league to most. Just things like the air conditioning works perfectly on this car. There's a common fault with the ECUs on the aircon. You can't get the part, they're obsolete. And this car's had that ECU overhauled some time ago, and that just means that's another potential headache out the way. And we've learned the hard way sometimes with these cars that you can't get parts, and it's okay a dealer saying, for example, yeah, we can fix your aircon, we can get that sorted, but if they don't understand parts availability, a lot of buyers we find get these cars and they end up stuck with these issues that can't be resolved. But overall, this is just an outstanding car. It drives brilliantly. Again, I've talked about the credentials of it, but we'd urge any serious buyer to give us a call or come and take a look. We can do a test drive if you're sort of at that point of being ready to purchase the car, and really demonstrate how good this car is. So thank you for watching, and please get in touch with any enquiries.